The transport ship drifted quietly through Sector 97 Alpha, a place most captains avoided. The stars around it were dim, and the air felt strange even through reinforced walls. The crew didn't worry much though, it was just another delivery job, but they were wrong. Ethan was a human engineer, working in the lower maintenance bay when everything went dark. First, the lights flickered, then the gravity shifted. He grabbed onto a pipe as the floor tilted. A loud alarm echoed through the hallway. He checked the control screen system failure. Everything from propulsion to communication was down. He rushed to the upper levels but found only silence. The escape pods were gone. The emergency beacon didn't send a message. His stomach sank. He wasn't alone. Lyria stood at the edge of the hallway, her pale purple skin glowing faintly in the red emergency light. She was tall and slender, with silver markings across her face. Her eyes sharp and golden watched him quietly. She didn't speak. "You stayed behind too?" Ethan asked, breathing hard. She nodded once. "I was resting in the sleep pod. No call came." "Great," he muttered. "We're stranded." She tilted her head. "Stranded. It means stuck. No way out." He rubbed his face. "Just the two of us now." They checked the systems together. The main engine was dead. The navigation panel was fried. Worst of all, the emergency beacon had been hit by the energy surge too. No one would know they were still aboard. The backup food supply was enough for a few weeks. Water was recycled but limited. The ship still had air and partial power, though artificial gravity kept flickering. Ethan tried to stay calm. He had trained for emergencies, but not this. Not being alone on a dead ship with an alien girl he barely knew. Lyria didn't seem scared. She followed him around the ship in silence, watching everything he did. She helped without speaking, holding tools, carrying parts. Sometimes, she moved with such quiet grace it startled him. The first night was the hardest. The ship groaned around them like an old whale drifting in a cold sea. They both slept near the power core where it was warm. They didn't speak, just stayed on opposite sides of the room. On the second day, Ethan tried to fix the beacon. Lyria sat beside him, not saying a word for hours. Finally, she asked, "Why are you so quiet?" He blinked. "Me. You're the one who hasn't said anything." "I watch, I learn," she replied simply. That was the first full sentence she spoke. Day by day they settled into a rhythm. He worked on systems. She assisted, calm and focused. They ate together without speaking much. Lyria didn't complain or show fear. Sometimes she watched him with a thoughtful look, like she was trying to understand something about him. One evening, after trying and failing again to restart the engines, Ethan slumped against a wall. "We're not getting out of here anytime soon." Lyria sat across from him. "I've never been alone with a human before." He gave a tired smile. "Me neither." "You're not so bad." "Neither are you," she said softly. The words hung in the air like a surprise. After that, something shifted. They started talking more. Lyria asked questions about Earth, about rain, trees, and music. Ethan asked about her planet, her people, and how she joined the crew. She told him her kind didn't show much emotion. They believed silence was a strength. But she had always been curious. She wanted to know how other species lived. That's why she joined transport duty. "Miss your home?" Ethan asked one day. Lyria stared out the broken viewport. "No, I'm misunderstanding what's coming next." He understood that they were in the middle of nowhere with no control. It felt like time was standing still, that as the days passed, Ethan noticed something strange. Lyria began bringing him odd little objects: a smooth stone she found near the cargo bay, a metal ring she bent into a strange shape, a small instrument that made soft humming sounds. "What's all this?" he asked. "Things to pass the time," she said. "You're bored." "No, I want to see what you'll do." He laughed. "You're messing with me." She didn't smile, but her eyes sparkled a little. Their connection grew stronger, not through big events, but through shared silence, teamwork, and strange little moments. The broken transport ship, once cold and lifeless, now echoed with something new. Not hope, exactly, but maybe comfort. Still, Ethan couldn't help but wonder, why was she really doing all this? What did she mean when she said she wanted to pass the time? The days passed slowly in the broken transport ship. Ethan and Lyria spent most of their time fixing what they could and trying to keep their hope alive. The silence between them was no longer heavy. Instead, it had changed into something softer, like a quiet friendship growing in the middle of nowhere. Lyria's strange behavior became more obvious. She followed Ethan everywhere, watching closely as he worked on the damaged systems. Sometimes, she copied his movements, trying to learn how humans did things. Ethan found it both strange and comforting. One morning, Ethan woke to find Lyria sitting near the small viewport, staring out at the stars. She seemed calm but distant. He sat beside her and asked gently, "What are you thinking about?" Lyria turned her golden eyes toward him. "I wonder about time, how humans see it." Ethan blinked. "Time? What do you mean?" "On my world, time is like a river. It flows steady, never stops. But here, on this ship, time feels broken, stuck." He nodded. He felt the same way. "Yeah, it's hard to tell what day it is, or even if days still matter." Lyria smiled faintly. "That is why I said I want to pass the time, to make it move again." Ethan looked at her with new understanding. "So, you want to keep busy? To stop the silence from growing?" She nodded. "Yes, but also, I want to learn about you." He laughed softly. "You really are curious, aren't you?" She shrugged. "Curiosity is not common for my kind, but I like it." The two sat quietly, sharing a moment that felt warmer than the cold metal around them. Later that day, Ethan found Lyria waiting for him near the cargo bay. She held a small, smooth stone in her hands. "What's this?" he asked. "It is a memory stone," she explained. "On my planet, we keep memories in stones. This one reminds me of my home." Ethan took the stone carefully. "It's beautiful." Lyria watched him closely. "Would you like to share a memory?" Ethan smiled. "Sure." He closed his eyes and told her about a summer day on Earth, the sun shining bright. Children laughing in a park, the smell of fresh grass. Lyria listened, eyes wide, imagining the world he described. When he finished, she gave him the stone back. "Thank you for sharing." That small exchange made Ethan feel less alone. Maybe this strange alien girl was becoming something more, someone who could understand him. That as the days went on, Lyria continued to bring small gifts and games from her culture. She showed Ethan how to play with a spinning top made from old ship parts. She taught him a silent counting game that helped them stay focused during repairs. Even when the ship creaked and the lights flickered, they found moments of joy. One evening, as Ethan fixed a broken circuit, Lyria sat beside him. She suddenly spoke in a soft voice. "Tell me, Ethan, do humans fear loneliness?" He paused, thinking. "Yes. Loneliness can be scary, but sometimes it helps us grow. It teaches us to appreciate company more." She nodded slowly. "I understand." Then, unexpectedly, Lyria reached out and touched his arm gently. It was a small gesture, but it shocked Ethan. He looked at her face, calm, sincere, not afraid. "I trust you," she said simply. Those words hit him deeply. Trust was rare between their species. Here, in this broken ship, it was a fragile treasure. That night, they shared stories of their pasts. Ethan spoke of his family, his hopes to explore the stars, and the hard life on Earth. Lyria talked about her people's strict traditions, the pressure to follow rules, and her desire to be free. Through their talks, the walls between them crumbled. The alien girl was no longer just a stranger. She was a friend, a companion in the vast emptiness. But despite their growing bond, the reality remained. The ship was still broken. Rescue was uncertain. Hope was a fragile flame. One morning, a sudden tremor shook the ship. A system warning flashed on the screen. "Power fluctuations," Ethan said quickly. "We need to stabilize the reactor." Lyria stood by his side, ready to help. They worked together, coordinating steps with a silent understanding. The danger made their connection stronger. They relied on each other's strength and calm. Once the reactor was stable, they both sighed in relief. Lyria smiled softly. "We are stronger together." Ethan agreed. "Yeah. Alone, we might have lost hope. Together, we keep fighting." As the ship drifted in the endless dark, Ethan realized something important. Lyria's wish to pass the time was more than just avoiding boredom. It was about finding meaning in the silence, building a bridge between two lonely souls. And maybe, just maybe, they could survive not only the broken transport but whatever awaited them beyond the stars. The days on the broken transport ship grew longer, but Ethan and Lyria found themselves slowly changing. The ship that once felt cold and empty was now filled with quiet moments of connection and learning. They were no longer just two strangers stuck together. They were becoming a team, a small family in the vast darkness of space. Lyria. Single quotes as curiosity about humans grew stronger. She started asking more questions about their customs, feelings, and daily life. Ethan enjoyed sharing simple things, how humans celebrated, what food they liked, and how they spent free time. In return, Lyria showed Ethan strange symbols drawn in the dust, telling stories from her people's past. The exchange felt like a bridge between two very different worlds. One afternoon, Ethan was fixing a jammed door when Lyria approached with a small box. "This is called a puzzle," she said quietly. "It is a game from my planet. It helps with patience and thinking. Ethan smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. Let's see if it can keep me busy. The puzzle was made of tiny pieces that fit together in a pattern. It looked simple but was tricky to solve. As Ethan worked on it, Lyria sat close, watching him carefully. You learn fast, she said with a rare smile. Thanks, Ethan replied. It's nice to have something to focus on besides repairs. They spent the afternoon trying to solve the puzzle. At times they laughed when a piece didn't fit, and at times they grew quiet, lost in thought. The moment was peaceful, a break from the endless repairs and worries that night. As the ship's artificial lights dimmed to mimic night, Ethan and Lyria sat near the power core. The soft hum of machines was their lullaby. Lyria spoke softly. Do humans get lonely even with others around? Ethan thought for a moment. Yes, sometimes. Loneliness isn't just about being alone, it's about feeling like no one understands you. Lyria nodded slowly. I think my people feel that, too. We keep many feelings hidden. It can be lonely. Maybe that's why we both find this strange friendship important, Ethan said. She looked at him, golden eyes warm. Yes, it is. Good. The following days brought more small discoveries. Lyria learned how to cook simple meals with the ship's limited supplies, adding her own alien herbs that gave a new flavor. Ethan taught her how to read the ship's manual and use tools. Their teamwork improved, and the ship's condition slowly became better. One day, while cleaning the cargo hold, Ethan found an old music player. It was dusty and barely working. He pressed a button, and soft music filled the space. And old human song.com and gentle Lyria tilted her head, listening. Music is like feelings made sound. Yeah, Ethan said, smiling. It can make you feel many things, happy, sad, hopeful. Lyria closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she said, I want to learn more. Ethan laughed softly. Then we have a lot to teach each other. As they shared music, games, and stories, Ethan noticed Lyria's walls slowly coming down. She wasn't just curious. She was opening her heart in a way her people rarely did. One evening, Ethan looked at Lyria while she fixed a broken panel. The dim light caught the silver markings on her face. He felt a strange calm wash over him. Lyria, he said quietly, thank you for being here, for helping me. She paused, then replied, thank you for not being afraid. Their eyes met, and in that simple moment, trust and respect grew stronger than words. But beneath their small world, reality waited. The ship was still stranded. Supplies were limited. Rescue was uncertain. Then, one day, the ship's sensors picked up a faint signal. An unknown ship was nearby. Ethan's heart raced. Maybe help is coming. Lyria stood beside him, her expression unreadable. Or maybe something else. They prepared for whatever arrived, ready to face the unknown together. The bond they had built gave them strength. They were no longer just two lost souls on a broken ship. They were partners, ready to face the challenges beyond. And so, as the mysterious ship approached, Ethan and Lyria stood side by side, ready to greet whatever fate awaited them. The approaching ship grew, larger on the sensors. Its shape was unfamiliar, sleek, with smooth curves and strange symbols glowing softly along its hull. Ethan and Lyria watched in silence, their hearts pounding. Rescue or danger? Ethan tried to send a signal, but the transport systems were still weak. The other ship did not respond. Instead, it slowed, then stopped just outside the transport's range. Lyria stepped close to the viewport, her golden eyes studying the new ship. They do not look like the transport fleets I know, she said quietly. Doesn't mean they are friendly, Ethan replied, gripping a metal pipe for support. A small door on the transport hissed open. Through the fogged glass, figures appeared tall and covered in armor that reflected the dim light of the nebula. They moved carefully, scanning the area. We need to prepare, Ethan said. He began checking their limited defenses. Lyria gathered tools and made sure their communication systems were ready, even if only for short bursts. Hours passed. The visitors finally entered the transports. Ethan and Lyria faced them together. The armored figures removed their helmets, revealing faces both alien and unfamiliar. Wide eyes, smooth skin, and expressions that showed surprise. The leader, a tall being with deep blue skin, spoke in broken common language. We saw your signal. We come to help. Ethan relaxed slightly. Thank you. We've been stranded for days. Lyria watched the visitors carefully. They seemed honest, but she remembered her people's warnings. Trust was rare in space. The rescuers worked quickly to repair the transport systems. With their help, communication was restored. Messages were sent out for full rescue. Hope returned to the ship. In the quiet moments between work, Ethan and Lyria talked with the new crew. They learned that this group was a patrol team from a distant alliance, exploring unknown regions for stranded travelers. Lyria shared stories of her people's traditions, and Ethan told of Earth's wonders. The visitors listened with interest and kindness, but even as repairs continued, a subtle tension remained. Lyria confided to Ethan, "I do not trust them fully. Their eyes hide many secrets." Ethan nodded. "We have to be careful, but for now they are our best chance." One night, as the transport hummed with renewed power, Ethan found Lyria staring at the stars again. "Will we be safe once we leave?" she asked softly. "Space is always dangerous," Ethan replied, "but together we can face it." Lyria smiled, a rare and genuine expression. "Thank you for teaching me about trust." Ethan smiled back, "And thank you for teaching me about patience." The days of waiting turned into weeks. The bond between Ethan and Lyria grew stronger, built on shared hardship and quiet understanding. Finally, the full rescue fleet arrived. The transport was pulled to safety. Ethan and Lyria stood side by side as they left the broken ship behind. Before they parted ways, Lyria surprised Ethan. "I wish to travel with you, to see your world." Ethan looked at her in surprise. "Are you sure? Your people may not agree." Lyria nodded firmly. "I want to learn more. With you." With a smile, Ethan replied, "Then let's face the stars together." After the rescue, Ethan and Lyria traveled together aboard a new ship bound for Earth. The journey was different from their time on the broken transport. Now, the ship was full of life. Other crew members moved around, machines hummed steadily, and messages came and went through the communication systems. But for Ethan and Lyria, the quiet moments remained the most important. Lyria was fascinated by everything she saw. She asked questions about human customs, about the stars they passed, and about Earth itself. Ethan enjoyed sharing his knowledge, telling her stories of forests, oceans, and cities filled with millions of people. One day, as they watched a nebula drift by the window, Lyria turned to Ethan. "Your world sounds very different from mine. Is it beautiful?" Ethan smiled. "Yes, it has its beauty and its problems, but it is home." Lyria nodded slowly, her eyes shining. "I want to see it, to feel it." Ethan felt a warmth inside. He had never expected this alien girl, once so distant, to become someone he cared for deeply. Their bond grew stronger as they spent more time together. Lyria learned to laugh at human jokes, and Ethan began to understand the quiet strength in her calm ways. They shared meals, stories, and dreams. One evening, as they stood on the observation deck watching distant stars, Lyria spoke softly. "I used to believe my people were the only way. Now, I see the value in other lives, other ways." Ethan nodded. "Space is big, and every life adds something unique." She smiled. "Thank you for showing me this." But their journey was not without challenges. Some crew members were wary of Lyria, unsure of trusting an alien whose people were strangers to them. Ethan noticed this and quietly defended her. "She saved my life," he told a group once, "and she is more human than many I know." Slowly, the crew began to accept Lyria, helped by her kind actions and calm presence. As they neared Earth's orbit, both felt excitement and nervousness. For Ethan, it was a return home. For Lyria, a step into the unknown. When the ship finally landed, Ethan showed Lyria the green fields and blue skies he had described. She breathed deeply, amazed by the fresh air and endless horizons. "This is more beautiful than I imagined," she said. Ethan smiled. "Welcome home." They spent weeks exploring together. Lyria learned about human customs, tasted Earth foods, and even tried dancing in a small village festival. Their friendship became a symbol proof that two different species could understand and care for each other. It was a quiet rebellion against fear and suspicion. One night, as they sat beneath the stars, Lyria looked at Ethan. "I do not want to be just a visitor. I want to belong." Ethan took her hand gently. "Then you do." In that moment, the broken transport ship seemed far away, yet its lessons lived on in them both. Through struggle, loneliness, and hope, they had found something rare: connection. Their story was only beginning. Life on Earth was new and strange for Lyria. Everything from the sounds of birds to the taste of rain was different from the quiet world she had left behind, but she faced every challenge with quiet courage, eager to learn and understand. Ethan stayed close, guiding her through each new experience. Together they explored forests, visited towns, and even met some of Ethan's old friends. At first, some people were curious or cautious about Lyria's alien appearance. Her pale purple skin and golden eyes stood out, but her gentle smile and calm voice soon won many hearts. Lyria began to feel a sense of belonging. She found beauty not only in the Earth's landscapes, but in its people, their laughter, kindness, and sometimes their struggles. Ethan watched her grow and admired her strength. One day, Lyria asked, "Ethan, why do humans fear the unknown?" He thought carefully. Sometimes, fear comes from not understanding. When something is different, it can feel dangerous. But we both know difference can bring new strength, Lyria said softly. Ethan nodded. Yes, it takes time for people to see that, Lyria smiled. Then we must be patient. They worked together to help others see that friendship between species was possible. They shared stories of their time on the broken transport, how loneliness had brought them together. Slowly, people began to accept Lyria not as a stranger but as part of their community. But not everything was easy. Lyria missed the quiet of space, the stars she had watched from the transport ship's broken windows. Sometimes, she felt like an outsider caught between two worlds. One evening, she confessed to Ethan, "Sometimes I feel lost. I do not belong, fully here or there." Ethan took her hand gently. "You belong wherever you choose to be, and I choose to be with you." His words brought a quiet peace to Lyria's heart. As time passed, Ethan and Lyria grew closer. Their friendship deepened into something more, an unspoken promise to face the future together, no matter what it held. They began working on a project that combined their knowledge, a small research lab focused on helping humans and aliens understand each other better. It was their way of passing time meaningfully, just as Lyria had once wanted. The lab attracted curious minds and hopeful hearts. It became a place of learning, sharing, and building bridges between worlds. One day, a message arrived from Lyria. People they had heard of her journey and wanted to welcome her back. But Lyria hesitated. "I have changed," she told Ethan. "My home is not just one place anymore." Ethan smiled. "Then make a new home with me." Lyria looked out at the stars that now seemed closer than ever. "Together," she whispered. Their story was no longer just about survival. It was about hope, friendship, and the power of time passed together. The stars shone brightly on the night Ethan and Lyria stood together on the quiet Earth rooftop. The city lights below sparkled like a galaxy of their own, but it was the sky above that held their dreams. "We have come far," Ethan said softly, his hand gently holding Lyria's. Lyria nodded, her golden eyes reflecting the stars. From being alone on a broken ship to standing here together, their journey had been long and full of uncertainty. The broken transport, the endless silence, the strange friendship that grew between them, at all led to this moment. "Do you remember when you said you wanted to pass the time?" Ethan asked with a smile. Lyria smiled back. "Yes, at first, it was to survive. Now it means to live." They talked about the days spent repairing the ship, the puzzles, the stories shared in the dark. Those moments had been their bridge through loneliness. "You taught me patience, hope, and trust," Lyria said quietly, "and you showed me strength, kindness, and courage." Ethan replied. Their bond was not just between two individuals, but between two worlds. They had become symbols of what could happen when fear was set aside. That as they stood there, a soft breeze wrapped around them, carrying the scent of Earth's forests and distant oceans. Lyria closed her eyes, feeling the life that flowed through the planet. "I want to explore more," she said. "To see new places, meet new people." "We will," Ethan promised. "The stars are wide, and the universe is full of stories waiting for us." Soon, they began preparing for a new journey, a voyage beyond Earth, to explore the galaxies. Together, their small research lab had grown, inspiring others to embrace friendship between species. But most importantly, Ethan and Lyria knew they would never be alone again. The broken transport was behind them, a memory of struggle and hope. "Ready to pass more time?" Lyria asked playfully. Ethan laughed. "With you always." Hand in hand, they looked to the future unknown, full of promise and theirs to share. Their story was a reminder that even in the darkest places, friendship and trust could light the way. And so, beneath the endless stars, two souls from different worlds began a new chapter together.